Hi, guys, and welcome to Level Up Podcast. I don't know why, but I'm actually feeling slightly nervous today. And just for you to remember that even though you have made close to 50, 60 plus all the external podcasts I've done, even though you can get nervous at times because it feels as if it's the first podcast I'm doing ever. And the reason for that, well, I mean, you're literally looking at it. It's not just me, but it's the form we're meeting today, because usually we just meet in the ear. But today, I'm so excited. We're meeting almost face to face. And that's because I've decided that not only should you be listening to me, you should also have the opportunity to watch these episodes. And the first episode, the first visual episode, is going to be this one. Now you are maybe thinking, so well, if this is like such an important episode, what did she decide to talk about today? And I decided to talk about something very universal and very general that you can always tap into. And that is, no matter where you are right now, how can you level up at this moment, right now? So that is what we're going to be talking about today. I got inspired to this episode because, this is something I've really been talking to a lot of people about lately, how to level up. And I want to make it clear that you can always decide to level up, no matter where you are in life. Physically and even mentally. And it doesn't matter if you are an entrepreneur or a professional or just someone that is interested in ambition and creating your dream life. So today we're going to be talking about how to level up right now. And through this episode, I'm going to be talking about what it means to level up, and also why it is so important, and then most importantly, how do we then do it? And I'm going to be sharing how I personally do it, and also how I help other people leveling up in their life, whether it's personally or professionally. So get ready, or sit back, or grab a coffee, or whatever you prefer to drink, and let's have a very proper talk about how you can level up right now. All right, so what does leveling up actually means? And also, just for your information, today I invited you home to my house in my small living room where I'm living here in Dubai. And I hope you're comfortable, because now we're going to be diving into the whole concept of leveling up. And I want to start by explaining to you, that's my take at least, what does it mean to level up? Well, basically, it actually means that you are just moving more towards your full potential. So you're moving in the direction of your higher self, or your full potential, or whatever you want to call it. But whatever you are meant to be and you are capable of doing, you are moving in that direction just on a daily basis. And before we tap into the next question, why it is so important to level up, I want to just drop this phrase. It was a phrase that really stuck with me. It's a little bit provocative, but if you know me by now, you know that I don't mind the provocative phrases, especially if they can push something within us. And this one certainly pushed something inside of me. And this goes for your personal life, your professional life, whatever it is. And it sounds like this: whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. And that, I want you to remember, when we talk about leveling up in your life. Because why should you level up? Well, you should level up on certain aspects if you don't want your current state to be like that. So that is just the reason. So to rephrase the whole level up concept, it's not for you to strive for perfection or the ultimate version of you. Well, it actually is a little bit. You're moving in that direction. But it's actually just about you growing. Not for you to reach a certain final destination, but for you constantly to improve yourself. Not for anyone, but yourself. Because if you ask me, I deserve that, and you deserve that. And we all deserve to level up for ourselves, because that is when we get closer to what we can actually do in life. Again, professional or personal. It doesn't always have to be something professional. So that is what leveling up means, if you ask me. And now you might ask me, but Kristin, why is it so important to level up? Well, I mean, you fully decide what you want for your life, but I'm guessing since you have chosen to watch this episode or listen to this episode, you have some interest in leveling up in your life. So let me just confirm why it is so important for you to level up and for me to level up. For me, it's all about fulfillment. It's about alignment. And it's about me taking control of my potential and not just leaving it to some chance or fate or whatever. But it is my way of taking charge of me becoming the absolute best version of myself and putting myself into the road to my full potential. And if you ask me, that is pretty damn important. Because the worst place to be, if you ask me, is where we are not moving, we're not evolving, we're not growing, we're just there. And we're just staying in the same place. And I actually read a book once, I've read many, but I read a book once and it explained a concept about the no man's land. And promise me, wherever you go in life, don't ever go to this place. It's called the no man's land. And it's where we're just there. We're not satisfied, we're not fulfilled, but we're yet not so miserable that we want to change our whole situation. So we just stand by. We just let it be. And we just stay in this place where we are definitely not growing, not evolving, and not moving in any direction. We are just a constant place. And being in this place, let's call it no man's land, or at least where we're not choosing something better for ourselves, that will just eventually drain the living life out of us, and whatever energy we might have left, and we will just finally completely surrender to the stage we're at in life, not doing anything to affect it in any way. So let's agree now that either you or me will ever be going to that place. And if you find yourself there at this moment, you're gonna have to promise me that you are on your way out of there, because I want that for you. And you should want that for you as well. Because remember this, you are either growing or stagnating, and we don't want the last part. And now you might think the $1 million question, but if it is so simple and so obviously important to level up, then why don't we just all do it? Why is it so hard to level up, to just simply choose to level up? Let's talk about fear. Let's talk about comfort zones. Let's talk about those things that really keep us from not leveling up or from not growing in life. Because fear is the number one reason that so many of us keep ourselves from what we actually wish to do or dream of doing or want to do in life. And fear is not always bad. Fear can also serve as motivation in life. You know, some have a fear of being poor because maybe they grew up poor. So they use their fear of being poor as motivation. And that is how we can choose to use fear and not letting it holding us back from what we want to do, but use it as fuel for what we want to do. And the other one is comfort zones. We as the species humans, we are actually designed to be comfortable. We love to be comfortable. And there is nothing wrong with being comfortable because it is, well, comfortable. However, now that we're talking about leveling up and you've tuned into this podcast where you know that we are not talking about being comfortable, we are talking about growing, evolving, becoming the best version of ourselves, leveling up and whatnot. And that does not happen in our comfort zones. So we have to fight the urge of being comfortable sometimes and just remember that nothing worth achieving happens in our comfort zones. So that's a great reminder. And another thing, actually two other things. One is lack of clarity. Sometimes I've met so many, okay, they're maybe working a job, they're not really loving it, and they would actually like to quit it or change it, but they don't really know where they should go from there. And also I've met many aspiring entrepreneurs, and they want to start something, but they don't really know how it's being done or what they should start, or they don't really have the idea. So what they're lacking is clarity. And that makes sense, because if we don't have a plan, if we don't have something visual or a vision or something that we can act on, well, then it's difficult to act. But the last one I want to mention is your environment. And maybe you've heard it before, that you are the product of the 3 or 5 people that you associate yourself with, that you spend your time with. It could be family, it could be friends, and maybe they have a mindset that is not really, probably tapping into the concept of leveling up, for example, just to name one. And obviously, you will be affected by that. So my suggestion to you is to just make a due diligence on the people in your life. Are they themselves on a journey where they want to become even better or becoming the best version of themselves? They're moving towards something, worth achieving. Could be building a company, or just in general leveling up in their career or in their personal life, talking about self-development, the topics that they speak about. Are they aligned with the journey that you want to be on, or are they simply not? Because I will guarantee you that it will affect you sooner or later. You can act on it now. That's maybe a little bit difficult. Not many people can just, eliminate people in their lives. But eventually, when you will pursue this leveling up a new lifestyle of yours, then, or maybe you have even realized it, that some people who does not share the same like mentality, mindset, or vision, they will fall off eventually, simply because with time, you will no longer, this is a tough word, but yeah, you will no longer allow yourself to be affected by people that are not into the same as you. And that doesn't mean that you are better than them, or that I'm better than other people, or anything like that. It simply just means that you're no longer aligned with those people. And take it for what it is, but it's just for me to make you aware of it, so that you're not going to be surprised, because it will potentially happen. So those are some of the things that can be the reasons why it is so difficult just to level up. So fear, lack of accountability, your network or lack hereof, your friends, your family, also known as your environment. But if you are ready to level up, then let's talk about how you do it. All right, so how do we level up? Well, first of all, we all need to get really, really real with ourselves. Because what do you want? And this is actually a question that not many people ask themselves. And you know, it blows my mind every time I meet someone and they're like between this and that, and they're like frustrated about where they are in life. And I'm asking them, but what do you want? So tell me, what do you want? And you have to ask yourself as well, what do you want? It's as if we as individual, independent people living in 2025, where the opportunities have never been greater, you know, in this world, society, wherever you live almost, we can't answer this very simple question, what do we want? Like, I can answer it, obviously, but and I'm sure you can too. But have you ever thought about it? What do you actually want? Because no one is telling you that you can't have it, other than maybe yourself, or your limiting beliefs, or your environment, or your fear. But we just spoke about those things, and we need to leave them in the last section of this episode. You have to get real with yourself. What do you want? And be very, very clear about it. Because it's a little bit like goal setting. The clearer your goals are, and the more specific they are, the easier you will make it for yourself when you're going to achieve them. And the same goes with the concept of leveling up, because it's same, but different. Be clear and be real with yourself. What do you want? So that's the number one thing. And then when you have decided where you want to level up in life, whether professionally, personally, wherever, appearance, your bank account, whatever it is, or all of it, I mean, go big or go home sometimes, then you have to ask yourself, why are you settling? Why have you been settling? Because we need to also identify what are the reasons that we haven't done this before, or that you haven't decided to do this before. Because in those answers really is the opportunity to remove many blocks we have in life and that we have had in life. And it's an opportunity for us to remove it now and prevent it from appearing later on. So why have you been settling? And what needs to change in your life in order for you to level up? Because remember what I said in the beginning, what we're not changing, we're choosing. All right, now that we've been real with ourselves, identified what do we want, and we've addressed why we have settled, we need to go to number 2. The next action we have to do then is to make a plan, because now that we have all this clarity about where we want to level up, we have to make a plan about how we're going to be leveling up. And let's go to goal setting, because that is what we need to be doing here. We need to set the goals. And again, you have to be so specific in your goals. The way I do it, and the way I've seen it work, not just for me, but many other people, is that I'm very specific about the goals, or in this case, the areas I want to level up. And what I do is that many times I put it into boxes and I make a category on each box. It could be professional, personal. And then under that, I have like subcategories. And on a personal note, it could be money, it could be growth, and it could be body and mind, and it could be something fourth. And on the professional category, I usually, because I do have a handful of companies / projects that I'm running, so it's pretty simple for me to just add all my projects here, and even a new company or project that I want to start. But when I've done that, I need to go into the specifics and break the goal down. So let's have an example here. Let's say on the personal note and under the box of money, I want to raise my monthly income by 50,000. Let's say that, 50,000. Then obviously I need to figure out how, and I need to figure out how I'm going to take actionable steps in order to make that happen. Most of the times in my case, it connects to the professional note over here, because here are my revenue streams. And it could be adding a service to one of my projects, or doing more sales or marketing in some of the projects, or it could be adding a new project or company or service to something. But I have to decide, like I cannot just have, I want to make this much money. It's great, it will take you, we have to also remember where focus goes, energy flows, but you will help yourself a lot if you make actionable steps in order to reach your goals. So for this goal, you're gonna be doing actionable steps. You're gonna break it down into, obviously you have the whole, like let's say it's over a period of 1 year, or it's over a period of 3 months or 6 months. You have to just base it on that. And I don't want to get too technical or too practical here, because then I'm gonna have to need a whiteboard and everything, but I'm sure you get the concept here. But then I have to break it down into monthly actionable steps and weekly actionable steps and daily actionable steps. And the same goes, let's say you want to lose 5 kilos. I mean, it's great that you have this vision, that you see yourself 5 kg less, but again, how will you get there? So it's the same, whether it's money, you want to lose weight, you want to read more books, how will you add it make it as convenient for you as possible, just add it to your daily life, your weekly life, your monthly life. That's how I do it. And then what is really important is that, because we cannot measure what we don't track. So we have to track it. And that's also a way for you to keep yourself accountable. So how do I keep myself accountable? Well, I do have an accountability partner who I check in with on a monthly basis, and she shares her goals, I share mine. And we tell each other, okay, so how far did you come? What did you do this month? What are you going to reach the next month? And we share it with each other. But how I keep myself accountable on a daily and weekly basis is that I have a system where I add all these, let's say, goals that I want to achieve. Usually I set goals on a yearly basis. So every 31st of December, I sit and prepare my goals for the coming year. But I will say this episode will be live when we are halfway into 2025. That means that you have more than 6 months to make this year the baddest year of your life. And just to give you an example, a couple of years ago, let's say it was actually in 2022, so 3 years ago, I was really getting serious about this goal setting, and I set my goals for 2022. And 3 months in, it turned out that I had reached 80% of my goals for the whole year. So just for you to remember that you can really reach a lot, even if it's just 6 months left of this year. So, and the third step in this, how to do it, is actually what I just spoke about, accountability. So I told you how I keep myself accountable, and I also told you about how I have an external accountability partner. And I really want to emphasize on the accountability partner concept, because not many people know about it, but I really want to make you understand how much, I'm not exaggerating here, how much of a game changer it is having an accountability partner that wants you to level up, that is so committed to see you level up, that is so committed to see you reach your goals, but also someone that gets this mindset and gets this concept. And they preferably have goals of their own that they want to achieve, so that you can act as accountability partners for each other. Because the number one reason why people, they don't achieve things in life is simply because, well, they lose track of it. They don't stay accountable, and eventually they just get bored and they quit. That's it. It's nothing more than that. It's very simple, and that's also, why it's so sad, because it's just because people, they give up or they quit. It's not because they're not able to do it. They just choose not to. So keep yourself accountable, and even better, also get an accountability partner. All right, and the last part of this, how do we level up? It's very simple, yet so hard, and it is about consistency, because consistency is key. It's not a sprint, it's like a marathon. We keep going, even though it's like a long journey, long distance, but we have to focus on the long-term gratification of this, and not only the quick fixes. And we want to, in this world we're living in today, become a millionaire from today till tomorrow. No, it's not about that. This is about you not reaching a final destination, but it's about you improving, becoming the ultimate version of yourself in the long run. There's no final destination. We can keep evolving, keep leveling up, keep moving in the right direction. So that is a very important thing to remember. But consistency is key. also when we want to level up. And you know, I always say, because self-discipline is sometimes boring, and you know, we don't want to do it, and it sucks. But you know, we also talk a lot about self-love. And self-love is not just taking a spa day. It's not just eating nice food. It's not just, you know, doing a manicure or pedicure. That can be nice too. But if you ask me, the highest form of self-love is, in fact, self-discipline. And it is doing the things we know we should be doing, even in the times we don't really feel like it. Because we know that by doing it, we are moving in the direction of our best self and our highest potential and our higher self in life, and the person that we want to become. So remember that when you feel like not really doing it, because we're all human here, and it happens. All right, guys, we have come to an end to this, I want to say, first podcast, or at least first visual podcast on Level Up Podcast. It was a new concept to me, but I'm kind of getting into it now. So bear with me if it seemed unnatural at times, but you know, there's a first for everything. And this was very fun, and I'm very happy that we're able to meet this way as well. I want to give a quick sum up on what we just spoke about today, because maybe you forgot a little bit about it. But the most important thing is that we want to level up. And it is super important. I spoke about why it is super important and how to do it. The first step is that we really get real with ourselves, and we get real with where we want to go in life. What do you want in life? What do you want? And then we have to make it actionable, make it implement it into our real life, you know, to level up. Make it into goals, write them down, break them down, and track them. And then stay accountable. You have to stay accountable within yourself, to yourself, but you also, if you ask me, should get an accountability partner. And remember, or watch this episode again when it gets hard, because it will get hard. But you know, I would say if you start now, by the end of this year or 3 months in, because it takes about 3 months to create a habit. We have to do things like 90 times or something. When it gets hard, just watch this episode again, and I will tell you right now, just keep going, because you owe it to yourself and your future self. And now you owe it to me as well. Remember this. Come a little bit closer. All the way here. You are only one decision away from changing your whole life or leveling up on your whole life. So what's actually holding you back? Nothing? That's what I want to know. So I'll see you next time, and thank you for tuning in, and hit the subscribe button. And I would just love to invite you into my living room again.